Hello and welcome back to another episode of Finkle Cast. If you are watching this on YouTube, I apologize once again, but the topics that I'm covering today does not really require too many images, so this will be an image-free podcast episode. Today we are briefly going to go over the most recent episode of Kenobi, which will then tie into the main point of this episode. My review for Kenobi Episode 4 will be as short as the actual episode, and if you actually watch the episode, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So far, I've enjoyed the first 3 episodes. They're really good. Not the best Star Wars content in the world, but it's pretty good. But on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm going to have to give this 4th episode a 4 or 5. It really wasn't the best episode. It was kind of just a random filler episode that really wasn't necessary, and it should have been something totally different. Now, as usual, I will be talking about spoilers, so if you do not want to hear those spoilers, stop now and come back later. In my opinion, this episode was a total waste and should not have been made or aired at all. I think they should have went a totally different route. I mean, in the 3rd episode, Obi-Wan was burned to a crisp, Anakin style, and his entire right arm was scorched. Now, the 4th episode starts off with him in the bacta tank, and he's healing, but all of a sudden he heals with great speed, and he's ready to go on a mission to save Leia. Obviously, Leia was taken by Reva, and now she's at the Inquisitorial Tower in the middle of this ocean, and that's the whole episode. He's going on this rescue mission to save Leia, which was just kind of annoying. I mean, this is the Obi-Wan show, and I think Reva and Leia had more screen time than Obi-Wan. During the whole episode, Obi-Wan is trying to infiltrate this tower, and the woman that saved him in episode 3 is helping him do that. She is pretending to be that officer again, or I guess she really is an Imperial officer, but she is going in and opening up gates for him, and he goes underneath the tower within the ocean, and he's going to save Leia. And during this, Reva is interrogating Leia, trying to find out where all of these potential rebels are. Eventually, Obi-Wan does reach Leia. They escape successfully, and now I guess we're going to see what happens in episode 5 and 6, and hopefully they tie some things in. I still haven't seen the Grand Inquisitor alive. He can't be dead, so they got to fix that, and I still want to see some flashbacks for Order 66. I mean, Hayden Christensen was also brought back for the show, and even though he isn't Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that's what the whole show should be focused on, since we're already focusing our attention on Leia and Reva, let's focus it on Darth Vader some more. I want to see flashbacks with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen playing their parts, the Revenge of the Sith timeline, or even go back to the Attack of the Clones timeline. And I guess my pursuit to try to go into this show with low expectations, they're really meeting those expectations, and that's unfortunate. Now, aside from this being just a waste of an episode, there were a couple things that I did like. While Obi-Wan is going through this Inquisitorial Tower, he's going through this tunnel, and now he's figuring out what this tower actually is for. And he realizes this is a tomb for former Jedi. And he sees all of these former Jedi in these kind of like yellow, frozen, see-through tombs, and they're actually being presented as like tomb-like trophies for these Inquisitors. So I thought that was cool. You saw some other Jedi, and I didn't see any Jedi that I recognized, but maybe you did. But the one thing that I saw that was wild was that there was an actual youngling in one of these tombs. And the second and only other thing that I enjoyed out of this episode was Ewan McGregor doing some lightsaber work. That was pretty awesome to see. Obi-Wan was deflecting blaster shots from stormtroopers, and he was taking out stormtroopers with his lightsaber, and that was awesome to see. I want more of that, and I want just more out of this show. But like I said, I thought this episode was a waste. It was very unnecessary for him to have to go and save Leia again. I mean, that's what he did in the first place. He went to go save Leia, and while he was escaping with her, things happened, and now he had to go save her a second time within the same season. And that's what's tying into the main point here, is that we only get 6 episodes out of this series. And I know there are rumors of there being a second season, but maybe they shouldn't even do a second season. That's probably kind of unnecessary. We should have made each episode 50 minutes long and make this one of the best series Disney has produced. And so far, we've seen Obi-Wan more than we saw Boba Fett in his own show, but slowly and surely, we're seeing more of Reva and Leia than we are Obi-Wan, which is really annoying. And I forgot, there was one more thing that bothered me out of this most recent episode, was that once Darth Vader found out that Reva had failed in keeping Obi-Wan there and Leia there, I don't think he even knows about Leia, actually, but she failed in keeping Obi-Wan there. He walks in and he force chokes her and lifts her up in the air and is telling her, I told you it was going to happen if you failed me. And then she squeaks out this little voice and he lowers her and lets her talk. And she's saying that I placed a bug on them. We can track them. And then he goes, I underestimated you, third sister. And it's like, wait a minute, what? Chop off her hand for disobeying you or for failing you. You're Darth Vader. We want to see more sinister actions here. It just seems that the person who wrote this show didn't really know Star Wars, or they're just writing something totally different. And I really wish they would stop writing stuff that takes place in between Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Work on the outside of that, either into the future or in the past, and do something of that nature. But the main point I wanted to focus on this episode is that so many big movie series, not even just Star Wars, are having their own spin-off TV show now, which doesn't need to happen all the time. I mean, now we got Disney having all of their spin-off series. We have the Marvel ones and the Star Wars ones. And now we have Amazon coming along with the Lord of the Rings TV show. Now, Marvel seems to have been doing good with their series. I enjoyed Loki. I liked WandaVision. Hawkeye was also good, and I didn't mind Falcon and Winter Soldier. It wasn't that bad. And so far, Star Wars hasn't done that bad. The Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 were really good, but that's because it was a brand new character. They were starting from scratch for something brand new, and that's what I was talking about in my first episode. Start from scratch, do something new. But then they went on to Boba Fett, and they somehow messed a lot of it up. It was still a good show. I might watch it again. I might not. And it seems like they're kind of doing the same thing with Kenobi. Now, Andor still like to come out, and that's taking place in between Revenge of the Sith and The New Hope. And I'm not holding my breath for this one. I hope it is as good as they're predicting it will be. They're saying that it's going to be way better than Rogue One, which I love the movie Rogue One. So if they can make it better than that, we'll see what happens. But so far, I'm not too impressed. I just feel that they need to stop making these spin-off TV shows off of movie series. Star Wars was all movies. Marvel, all movies. And Lord of the Rings, only movies. Now, the reason why Marvel works is because Marvel had 2 to 3 Marvel movies a year, so it was already in that TV show fashion. Star Wars was one movie every 3 years, take a 10-year gap, 20-year gap, and then make another 3 movies over the span of 9 years. Now they're trying to make shows, and some of them are good, some of them are just okay, and I feel like they're just not getting the hang of it yet. It seems that the only good TV shows from Star Wars are the animated ones. And there's also a huge difference between movie and TV show. Movies are made for the big screen. They have more work put into them, and they're made differently. TV shows don't have as much work, and even though these TV shows look like a movie, they're not a movie production, and there's not as much work going into them. For example, The Fellowship of the Ring came out in 2001, and they started planning for that film and the next 2 in 1998. They had years to plan and prepare for the movies they were going to make. They had all these sets set up and all of these things purchased to create this movie. And these TV shows, I feel like they're not doing as much preparation. I'm not sure. I don't know if they're getting lazy or I'm not sure. Maybe it's because today's time they have to do less to prepare for something, but I just feel that it's different. And that's why I am just extremely scared to see what they're going to do with the Lord of the Rings Amazon show. I know that they said they spent millions of dollars on production so far, but I mean, you can spend as much money as you want. If you don't make something good and you don't prepare and you don't do what's needed to make something good, it's not going to be good. The Lord of the Rings movies were fantastic. They are top of the list for me. Peter Jackson and his whole New Zealand crew made beautiful movies. And now people don't like the Hobbit movies, but I also enjoy them the more I watch them. But when you turn some really good movies into TV shows, more often than not, it doesn't turn out well. There are tons of movies throughout Disney, DreamWorks, whatever, and they have this great movie in theaters, and then a couple years later, they release this kid show on Disney or whatever, and they want to have a spin-off TV show, and it's just not the same. And I think for a show like Obi-Wan Kenobi, if they would have made 10 episodes or even 6 episodes with longer runtime, it would have been something better. And that's not including the content. They need different writers over there. I mean, there's tons and tons of Star Wars fans that you could hire. Grab 5 Star Wars fans that have made fan films, put them in a room, have them brainstorm, and whatever they come up with, you just use. In my opinion, I think businesses like Netflix, Disney, and Amazon are just making these TV shows for one, to get more subscriptions. Not more so with Amazon, but more along the lines of like Disney and maybe Netflix. But they're trying to get subscriptions, but they're also trying to get these shows in to attract more people. The more shows you have, the more people you're going to attract. And that's why they're milking out Marvel shows and Star Wars shows. But once again, I digress, and that is it for this episode. Those are my opinions on Obi-Wan and why I feel like they shouldn't keep milking out these TV shows off of movies. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next Finkle Cast.